Stain removal is one of the hardest and most frustrating parts of doing laundry, and it probably seems like there are hundreds of stains, and each one has its own unique stain removal process, and the whole thing is pointless and frustrating and endless. The good news is that isn't true. Almost every stain can be grouped into one of 5 categories, and each category has a pretty straightforward removal process. So I hope my explanation of those groups and processes will make the annoying task of stain removal feel much more digestible and approachable and maybe a little bit fun. I don't know about you, but getting a tough stain out is really satisfying. So we'll start with a brief lecture, stick with me through that, and then some real demos so you can see how stain removal works. So without further ado, the 5 categories of stains are oily, enzymatic, oxidizable or bleachable, particulate, and special. There's one more technically, but more on that later. Oily and greasy stains, think cooking oils, fats, motor oil, salad dressing, also body oil, which is known as sebum. These require surfactants, like dish soap, liquid detergent. Enzymatic stains are caused by food and drinks and our bodies. Think blood, chocolate milk, grass, tomato sauce, and sweat. These stains need an enzymatic treatment to break them down. Oxidizable or bleachable stains get their name because these stains require a bleach to remove them. Usually there is not much to these stains besides their bright colors. Typical examples are red wine, coffee, tea, and yellow curry. In my opinion, these are some of the easiest stains to remove because oxygen bleaches, like powdered oxygen bleach and hydrogen peroxide, remove them pretty easily with a bit of patience. Then we have particulate stains, which is a really fancy way to say dirt, clay, mud, sand. Pretty boring category, but luckily a few inexpensive products go a long way here. Builders like washing soda and borax excel at removing particulate stains. Stay with me now, 2 more categories to go. Second to last is a bit of a cop-out category that us industry folks like to call special stains. Basically, these stains don't fall into any other category and usually require a unique process. For example, wax, which requires heat from a hairdryer and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, or most makeups that come out with micellar water. But wait, that's 5 categories. Why did you say special stains were second to last? There are now 6 categories? Well, yeah, sorry for lying to you, but there are technically 6, and the last one being combination stains. A combination stain is a stain that hits more than one category, and these are really, really common. For example, tomato sauce, which is enzymatic and oxidizable. Enzymatic because of the starch and sugar, and oxidizable due to lipocene in tomatoes, which gives it that beautiful bright red color. If you want to take it a step further and make it a 3-parter, think of a greasy bolognese sauce. The addition of oils and fats turn it into an oily, enzymatic, and oxidable stain. Okay, that's it for the lecture part of the video. Now let's go on to some real examples. First, let's dive deep into oily, greasy stains. I want to start here because by weight, oily stains are the most common and prevalent stains on your clothes. And you're probably thinking, but that can't be right. I spill food and coffee on myself every day and rarely encounter oil stains. Well, unfortunately for all of us, our bodies produce an enormous amount of body oil every day, and that gets on our clothes, making body oil the most common stain by weight or mass. Another reason why this is really important is because body oil, which is known as sebum to the scientific and professional cleaning community, is also the cause of body odor. The malodor-causing bacteria that lives on our body and feeds off of sebum. So if you're not properly removing it from your clothes, you're gonna have a bad time. Stinky clothes. But anyways, I feel like oily stains are probably the easiest to understand and categorize. Other examples include salad dressings, lotions, mayonnaise, lubricants, both automotive and personal. So, how do you identify an oil stain? First, they're almost always darker than the surrounding fabric. Oil stains, most importantly, always have a soft edge, aka there's no clear point of where it really stops, versus water-based stains have a very hard ring or edge. Oil stains will also grow in size, creep along fabric in a cross or X pattern for the most part, and a really bad oil stain will be a bit translucent and you can see through it. Before we talk about specifics of how to remove this oil stain, let's go over some really basic but important tenets of stain removal. First, read the care label. If your garment says it cannot be washed, you need to be really careful. If you still want to risk it, you should test a small hidden area of your garment with the stain treatment you plan to use to ensure it doesn't cause more harm than good. This may seem ridiculous and time-consuming, but it's really important for delicate or specialty items. As you master stain removal, you'll know what's totally fine and what should be tested. But this will save you from ruining a garment. Us dry cleaners do this relentlessly, otherwise we'd be replacing clients' clothes all the time. If an item is dry clean only, you may want to bring it to a professional, as you could cause irreversible damage by attempting at-home methods. Next, the sooner you get to a stain, the better. A great example of why you don't want a stain sitting untreated or unwashed for a while is yellow underarm and collar stains. This happens because the body oil was given time to oxidize and turn yellow. Oxidation is the same reason why apples and avocados turn yellow and brown when cut into. 3, I highly recommend tamping in your stain treatment instead of rubbing. This will take a little while to get used to, but I promise it's worth it. Try to think of your garment as three-dimensional. You want the treatment to penetrate the fibers to provide a deep, thorough cleaning. Plus, rubbing and scrubbing will cause damage and abrade fibers, which can cause discolorations or even holes. Same goes for blotting up and down motions when using a towel to remove a stain. 4, patience. You'll want to leave treatments on a stain for at least 15-30 minutes before washing. Enzymatic treatments work best when given 6 to 8 hours, as they take a while to digest those big molecules. Same goes for oxygen bleach. It's very effective but works slowly. I love to use the delay start feature on my washer, which really takes the thought out of letting a stain treatment sit for a while. Just throw it in there, give it an hour, 6 hours, it'll start on its own. Number 5, and maybe the most important tip, always inspect a stain before tumble drying. If the stain didn't come out and you can't get to it right away, it's okay to let it air dry. The dry heat from the tumble dryer will cook or set a stain, making it much harder to remove. I think this is really important for oily stains, as they can be really hard to see when a garment's still wet. And last, it's okay to repeat a stain removal process. If a stain didn't come out initially, you'll want to get more aggressive. For example, leave a stain treatment on for longer, overnight. Wash on a higher temperature. Use a more aggressive and longer cycle. One of the biggest challenges us dry cleaners face is balancing the risk between damaging a garment and removing a stain completely. The balance is something you'll need to figure out as well. Okay, back to oil stains. We need to use a surfactant to surround and carry away the grease stain. Dish soap, liquid detergents are amazing. Just add a few drops, work it in, and tamp. Enzymatic stain removers and laundry detergent that contain lipase, the enzyme that breaks down fats, is an excellent choice here as well. If you go with that option, you'll want to wait a bit before washing. Let's talk about some other ways to remove oil stains, as these methods have popped up on my comments and feed. One strategy, use more oil to remove oil, as like removes like. And I've had a lot of folks tell me they've had luck with pine sol and eucalyptus oil. The idea here is that you're using something similar that gets along with the oil stain. That oil stain would rather hang out with the newly introduced oil over your fabric, and all that gets washed away. I'm hesitant to recommend it, as adding more oil to a stain might make it even worse. WD-40, also solid, I mean really good, but probably shouldn't be using it because it's not good for our waterways. And lastly, baby powder, cornstarch, and dry shampoo are slightly effective in my testing, only really good for fresh stains and can cause a bit of a mess. These powder methods are quite solid for oil stains on suede though. To finish with oil stains, you really want to make sure that they're fully removed before drying. If you're constantly dealing with oil stains, dilute a little bit of dish soap, a few drops in a spray bottle with water. This will allow you to do a lot at once without overdoing it. Dish soap specifically is really concentrated and you will have sudsing issues if you overdo it in your machine. That's a pain in the butt. Next up, enzymatic stains, which mostly encompasses food and body stains. So basically these are stains caused by protein, sugar, cellulose, and other big molecules that are hard to remove. They commonly look like food and have a hard water ring around them. We need to use a product to break down those big molecules and wash away into smaller chunks. I'm sure you see where I'm going with this. Got to use a product with enzymes in it. Two categories here: enzymatic stain removing sprays, liquid detergents with enzymes in them. Instructions are pretty straightforward. Spray a bit on, tamp, and then wait. The longer you wait, the better. At least an hour. I like overnight if stuff's really bad. Again, the delay start feature on our washers will make that so easy to handle. Mindless. It's going to work great. This is also why I recommend having a high quality enzymatic detergent at home. Super well rounded as a pre-treatment too. Don't tell the big stain removing companies I tell you this. I think they work just as well, if not better, than those stain removing sprays. If the stain remains after cleaning, it's time to use oxygen bleach, as the physical parts of the stain are likely gone and the color or chromophores of the stain remain. This is a great segue into oxidizable or bleachable stains. Oxidizable or bleachable stains. I'm going to call them oxidizable stains from now on, and honestly, not that hard to remove if you have the right info and products. There isn't a lot to these stains. Basically, need to break down the color of the stain through oxidation, which is why they're called oxidizable stains. This is a fancy way of saying bleaching and the bleaching process. So what are oxidizable stains? Think colorful stains: red wine, coffee, tea, tomato sauce, yellow curry. They often have bright colors and have a hard ring around them, as most are water-based. This is how I remove them. You'll need an oxygen bleach like hydrogen peroxide or powdered oxygen bleach, commonly known as OxyClean in the US or Vanish abroad. However, there are plenty other powdered oxygen bleach products available, but I think these two brands, Vanish, have been synonymous with oxygen bleach in the laundry world, at least in my experience. Sometimes they're also called an oxy booster. As for the actual stain removal process, wash it as recommended. Sometimes the stain will come out completely, as some detergents have oxygen bleach in them, specifically powdered detergents. Great time to use those if you got them. And if it didn't come out, you're going to want to spray it down with 3% hydrogen peroxide, let it air dry in the shade. You cannot expose a wet garment exposed with hydrogen peroxide to UV sunlight, as it turns the oxygen bleach, which is a mild oxidizer, into a very aggressive one, like chlorine bleach. Your garment will turn yellow and you'll get mad at me, but you can't say I didn't warn you. The other option, which is much more effective but time consuming, is soaking your garment in hot water and powdered oxygen bleach overnight. You'll need to rewash the garment after to rinse out the oxygen bleach. Both of these methods take a long time to work, as oxygen bleach's color correcting process is very slow. Please be patient. I've had really tough old stains come out after half a dozen treatments. Repeated stubbornness and patience goes a long way when using oxygen bleach. And if there's any product besides a really good detergent that needs to be in your laundry room, it's oxygen bleach. Dry cleaners use sodium percarbonate, which is the main active ingredient in powdered oxygen bleach, by the literal barrelful. It's incredible. OxiClean. It's time we talked. Other than that, the soaking method's great to whiten and brighten just about anything, specifically sheets, towels, clothing with yellowed underarms and collars. I think you'll be amazed with how effective it is, and you really only have to do this like once a year. Plus you can do a huge batch of clothes, towels, everything at once, tub or sink, making it less of a chore, but the results are incredible. All right, particulate stains, we're almost done. Fancy way to say dirt, mud, clay, sand. Really straightforward category, and I'm not really sure if you need my help with identifying a dirt stain, but basically these stains are problematic because of the metallic bonds that bind them to clothing. Luckily, breaking these bonds is easy. You need something called a builder, like baking soda, washing soda, borax. For mild dirt stains, just add some of these builders into the drum of your washing machine and wash as you normally would, with detergent, of course. And you may be wondering, aren't the ingredients you just talked about ingredients for a powdered laundry booster mix? You'd be correct. These products are a great addition to heavily soiled laundry loads as they help with dirt stains, but more importantly, soften water, which allows your detergent to perform better. For more difficult dirt stains like clay on baseball pants, you'll want to take some of these builders, mix it with a bit of water, and apply directly. Make a little paste, and then just scrub it on. Again, specified pre-treatments. Wonderful. We're tamping, we're not rubbing, we're not making the stain any bigger. We're penetrating the fibers. It's good stuff. To be honest with you, particulate stains are probably one of the easiest stains to remove, my opinion. Another reason for this is that because most detergents include builders in their formulations as water softeners, as they're a key function of any decent detergent. Also, fun fact, we figured out how to remove particulate stains during the Manhattan Project. For folks who don't know what that is, it was the United States secret project to build the nuclear bomb in the 40s. The scientists building the bomb often had radioactive dust on their clothes, and regular detergent wasn't removing it. Luckily, they figured out that builders broke down those metallic bonds, and here we are. The last true category are special stains, and I beg you not to get mad at me as I explain these. It's basically a cop-out category that includes hard to remove stains because each one of these usually has a specific or unique process. Think wax, pen ink, makeup, mold. To keep it simple, you can check out my free resources for stain removal processes for these types of stains at thecleanclub.com or askjeevesny.com. In general, these stains are a bit of a pain in the butt. It may be time to bring your garment to a dry cleaner if you have one of these stains, as we have solvents and solutions that you don't have access to. And the process of dry cleaning is amazing against makeup stains, for example. All right, that's it. You're a stain removal expert and no longer need me anymore. Just kidding. We're finally at the part where I tell you that rarely is a stain just one type of stain. Most stains are two or more categories and are known as combination stains. Here are a few examples. Grass and mud from playing sports would be enzymatic and particulate. A delicious curry will usually be oily and oxidizable. Tomato sauce is usually enzymatic and oxidizable. And a greasy bolognese would be oily, enzymatic, and oxidizable. But I hope you know that the process isn't any different. You just need to combine a couple methods that we just went over, and you're good. For example, a curry stain. I'll hit it with dish soap or liquid detergent, surfactants, first to remove the oil and food. And then I'll use oxygen bleach to fix the color. It's a simple two-step process for a stain that most people can't usually get out and kind of give up on. All right, now you are a stain master. Here are a few final thoughts and things I may have missed. Blood stain, super common, I get it asked all the time. Technically an enzymatic stain because it's mostly protein, but it can also be removed with hydrogen peroxide. It's quite fun and satisfying reaction. So 2 ways to remove it: pour some hydrogen peroxide on it, then wash, and then use more oxygen bleach if it remains, or enzymatic treatment, let it sit for a few hours, wash, and if color remains, oxygen bleach. I keep pig blood in my freezer that I use for demos, just so you know. Another really important one that didn't really fall into a category when I was organizing is body odor, which is caused by body oil. I'd pre-treat smelly areas with an enzymatic stain remover, wash with a really good detergent, and then rinse products or sanitizers will go a long way here. And last, stains that went through the washer and dryer, they're basically baked in, set, and really hard to remove. What do now? Basically, it's time to get pretty aggressive. What I mean by that is letting your pre-treatment sit on the stain overnight, wash on a higher temperature, maybe even the sanitize cycle, add some powdered boosters, use a laundry sanitizer or a rinse product, and then an oxygen bleach. But some stains just aren't gonna come out, and that's okay. Clothes are functional, they're meant to get dirty, that's life. Maybe that t-shirt is now a cleaning rag or something you wear when working around the house. Anyways, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know what you think and what I should talk about next.